Welcome back to the Caboodle Textiles YouTube channel. My name is Nick and today I want to share with you a few of the ways that I like to do my applique. If you're new to the channel, then go ahead and hit subscribe and that'll keep you up to date on all our new videos. Okay, so let's run through a few of the things that you're going to need to start your applique. So first off, I'm doing a t-shirt. So this is my base fabric and I'm going to be applying my motifs directly to this. Secondly is the fabric that I'm going to be using for my motif, and I've gone with the same fabric that I've used on the sleeves of this t-shirt. Thirdly is some kind of iron-on bondaweb. There's a couple of different types you can get, and you can buy it in sheets or you can buy it by the meter. I highly recommend you get one that is backed on paper. I find that it's a lot easier to work with for applique. Once you've got your fabric attached to this, it's a lot easier for you to cut out, I find, if it is backed onto paper. Also, you can obviously use the paper to draw your design onto. If you're doing a heart or a star or whatever, you can attach this to your fabric, draw your design and then cut it straight out. You can also, if you've bought the paper backed version that's in the A4 sheets, you can put it straight into your printer and you can print out a design directly onto it, ready for you to then cut out. You'll also need obviously an iron, so you can attach your adhesive to your fabrics. You'll need scissors that are suitable for paper, don't use your best fabric scissors, and a pencil, and obviously your sewing machine and threads. So we're going to start off by applying a piece of our adhesive to our motif fabric, and you're going to be applying it to the wrong side of your fabric. If you take a piece big enough to cover your piece of fabric that you've cut out, and have a look at it, there's one side, you see it's quite textured, and then there's one side that's matte and very smooth. You're going to want to apply it textured side down, so the textured side to the wrong side of your fabric. So I'm just going to place that in the middle of my fabric, and using a dry iron on a medium heat, I'm just going to carefully iron over, only for a few seconds, and as you can see, that's stuck down quite nicely. Okay, so it's now time to cut out the design of your motif, and if you wanted to, you can use pencil and a template to cut out your design, whether it's a heart or a star or a cloud or whatever shape you wanted to do. You could also do a letter if you wanted. You could do initials, for example. Just make sure that if you're doing something like that, particularly letters and numbers, that you draw them on reversed. Otherwise, when you come to stick it on to your main fabric, it'll be the wrong way round. What I'm actually going to do today is going to be cutting out the individual design on this fabric, which are the unicorns, and I'm going to be using those as my motifs. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm cutting out the unicorns out of the fabric, and as you can see, I'm cutting about 1 millimetre or so away from the design so that they've got a bit of a border. So I'm just going to carry on cutting these out and I'll come back to you in a minute. So once you've cut out all your motifs, you just want to go and peel the paper backing off them all. Like that, just be careful not to stretch them, and then you can decide where you want to place them. Once you're happy with the placement of your motif or motifs, just use a dry iron again on a medium heat, just to stick them down in place. Just be careful that they're not curled or anything when you press them down, and just hold in place just for a few seconds. You don't need to apply much pressure. Just make sure you're not moving the iron around too much. You don't want to make any ripples or anything in the fabric or turn the corners over. Obviously, do read the instructions of the bondaweb that you buy, because different brands do call for different temperatures and things. But that should about do it, I think. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to wait for that just to cool down a little bit, and then we're going to take that to the sewing machine. So I'm at my sewing machine and I've just finished stitching the first unicorn and I'm just about to do the second. I'm using a dark blue thread to match the outline of my motif. You can use a nice contrasting thread if you want. There's some really nice embroidery threads, metallic threads that look fantastic for applique. I've set my machine to a zigzag stitch and I've had a bit of a play around with the stitch lengths and the stitch widths just until I can find something that I thought would look nice. I'm actually using a stitch length of 1 and a width of 3 today. So I'm just going to begin by placing my needle along a nice straight edge of my motif to start me off. My needle is in the left hand position, so I'm going to want to place it on the inside of my motif. So I'm just going to lower my presser foot, lower my needle. I'm not going to be back stitching because we're going to be going around and completing the whole thing, and we're going to end up where we started basically. So I'm not going to bother back stitching. We'll just go over where we started when we get to the end. So what I'm hoping to achieve is that when the needle goes left and right, it's going from the motif onto the base fabric, back to the motif, back to the base fabric, zigzagging its way all the way around. And you want to go nice and slowly. When you get to a turn, just with your needle in the down position, flip up your presser foot, turn, presser foot down and carry on. And you may need to do that several times when going around these tight corners. So we've just reached a very awkward bit at the unicorn's horn. So I've gone as far as I can towards the end and I'm just lifting the presser foot up to turn, and I'm going to basically do one stitch at a time while we turn. Taking it very slowly, making sure not to stretch the fabric as we turn. Here we go, we're nearly back to the end. Oops, got to put my presser foot down. Okay, so we're reaching the end and I'm just going to overlap the stitches slightly where we began, just to secure them in place. This one, and take my needle out, press the foot up. Oops, caught on something. Very gentle as we pull out. Right, there we go. Oops, cut that thread off. Okie dokie, and there we are. And what we're going to do now is where we've got these threads, we need to pull them to the back, which we can do if we grab the bobbin thread. We can just, there's a little loop, and you can just pull the threads back through. One, each other one. Two. Oops. And there we are. And what I'll do on the inside then, I'll just do a little knot, tie them off and just cut them off then. So there we are. And that's ready to now iron and ready to wear. And there we have it. That's how I do my appliqué. If you're a beginner or new to appliqué, I recommend you start off with large simple shapes, gradually working up to more intricate designs. What I forgot to mention in the video is that if you've got a small garment or you're working on a small item, then do your appliquéing before you sew the garment or item up. If you don't, you're going to struggle when it comes to manoeuvring the garment on your sewing machine when you're doing the top stitching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments, and don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more videos just like this one. Thanks for watching.